Hello, my name is Christian Rosas, and I do my presentation on Bakken crude oil for Fire 6 with instructor Chief Tierney. So, our first discussion is going to be about what is Bakken Formation and where does Bakken crude oil come from. So, Bakken Formation is a geological region that stretches from Canada, western North Dakota, eastern Montana, and northwestern South Dakota that contains approximately 4.3 million barrels of oil that covers about 25,000 square miles. So we're going to jump into why is Bakken crude oil more volatile than general crude oil. So first, the way this is tested is through the RAID vapor pressure test. This is used to measure the volatility of gasoline and other petroleum products. These vapors are flammable and can ignite. Volatility means that it's the tendency of a substance to evaporate at normal temperatures. So Bakken crude oil scored high on the volatility on the RAID vapor pressure, which was averaging around 8 pounds per square inch in warm weather and 12.5 in colder weather, and some as high as 15.54 pounds per square inch, where normal crude oil from other places such as Gulf of Mexico had a vapor pressure averaging about 3.3 pounds per square inch. So Bakken oil is a high quality oil that is easier to refine but can ignite easier as well. It has a lower flash point than other oils. The reason for this is because of where Bakken oil is located and the compounds that it is made of. Bakken crude oil is founded trapped between 2 miles below the surface in between layers of shale rock, which might allow gaseous compounds to escape. As they extract, many high levels of volatile organic compounds or hazardous compounds are extracted along with it. So it is estimated that 40% of the material may be volatile organic compounds, making it more flammable than oil itself. So what makes transporting Bakken crude oil so dangerous is that it's flammable, and it's being produced at a rapid rate that drilling companies aren't following standard practices to separate volatile gases. Bakken crude oil is made up of 30 to 40% toxic and explosive gases, which are typically separated from the crude oil before transport. But since the mass production of it, much of the toxin and gases are not being removed. Our next topic is what happened in the town of Lac Mégantic. This town is located in the eastern region of Quebec, Canada. On July 6, 2013, an unattended 74-car freight train carrying Bakken crude oil derailed, causing a fire and explosion of multiple tank cars. The death toll was 47 people. More than 30 buildings were destroyed, and some of the remaining buildings had to be demolished due to petroleum contamination. It was the fourth deadliest rail accident in Canadian history. The next question is, what travel routes is Bakken crude oil commonly transported? It's usually transported all over the US and parts of Canada, and 60% of it is usually transported by railroads, and the rest is usually transported through pipelines. So the last bullet point is, has anything been done to make it safer to transport Bakken crude oil? Some changes have been made. One of these changes are that they will no longer transport Bakken crude oil with an unattended transportation train. Another one is possibly raise the cost of shipping crude oil by rail. Development of a stronger tank car with a thicker shell. Reducing speeds of trains carrying hazardous materials so they will no longer derail or have a least likely chance of doing so. There are also rerouting trains where a high risk accident could occur in order to avoid it, such as passing through cities, try to reroute them around that. Industries also are trying to do a better job on identifying the crude oil being transported. Two-person crews are required on crude oil trains now. Railroads would be prohibited from leaving unattended freight trains on main tracks. Locomotive cab must be located and reversers removed and secured. Another one is railroads must obtain advance approval from FRA on stations where unattended cars are left. Also, the U.S. Department of Transportation issued an emergency order requiring any railroads operating trains containing large amounts of Bakken crude oil to notify the State Emergency Response Commission about the operation of these trains throughout their states. While some of these changes have been implemented, there's also been a backlash about financial costs, as well as not being able to meet with the capacity of the production of the Bakken crude oil. This will conclude the ending of my video. Thank you so much for watching.